in the morning.
Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Today is a truly fascinating day to dive deep into the shadows of Genoa City. We have so much to discuss, and honestly, our minds are just racing with all these dark new revelations. Let's get right into it. I keep thinking about Diane Jenkins Abbott, and how we all just assumed the absolute worst when she vanished without a trace. I mean, the empty bed at the athletic club, the missed voicemail to Jack where she sounded so incredibly vulnerable. It all felt so perfectly, devastatingly tragic. But maybe it was a little too perfect. I just cannot stop turning this over in my mind, realizing with a heavy heart that we really should have known better. Diane is a survivor. She always has been, and she has a terrifying history of doing exactly this. The idea that Patty Williams simply snatched her away in the dark of night. It felt plausible because Patty is so famously unhinged, but Diane is far too smart for that. I feel almost foolish for believing she was a helpless victim this time around. My heart genuinely aches for Jack and Kyle, but at the exact same time, I cannot help but marvel at the sheer, terrifying brilliance of what Diane is actually doing. She hasn't been kidnapped at all. She orchestrated the entire disappearance herself. It is so incredibly hard to wrap my head around the emotional devastation she is willingly inflicting on her own family right now. Jack is entirely out of his mind with worry. I watch Jack frantically searching, hiring private investigators, pointing fingers at Patty with this desperate rage, and it breaks my heart into a million pieces. He genuinely believes the woman he loves with all his soul is in mortal danger. And Kyle, poor, traumatized Kyle. I felt this profound, suffocating sadness watching him violently confront Patty, demanding answers about his mother. He is reliving his absolute worst childhood trauma. The loss of his mother, the very thing that defined his darkest years. And yet, Diane is allowing this to happen. She is treating Jack and Kyle as unwitting pawns in her grand game of chess. How does a mother do that? How does a wife justify that level of emotional torture? It makes me question everything I ever thought I knew about her supposed redemption and her love for her family. Because the truth, the absolute, chilling truth of the matter, is that Diane is perfectly safe. She is hiding out in a luxurious, highly secure villa somewhere far away from the chaos and tears of Genoa City. I just picture her there. Perhaps sipping espresso on a sun-drenched terrace, looking at screens, while her family tears themselves apart looking for her. It gives me chills. It really does. She is watching everything unfold through a highly sophisticated, hidden spy network. She hasn't just run away from her problems. She has elevated herself to the role of an omniscient puppet master. I feel this strange, conflicting mix of deep disgust and undeniable respect for her strategic, calculating mind. She is playing God with the lives of everyone in Genoa City. Manipulating the flow of information, planting false rumors, and watching her enemies squirm from a safe distance. And this brings me to the most mind-bending part of this entire conspiracy, the involvement of Matt Clark. We all know Matt is wandering around with amnesia, a dangerous, volatile wild card that everyone is desperately trying to control. But what if? What if Diane is the one actually pulling his strings from the shadows? I keep turning this specific detail over in my mind. It makes a terrifying amount of sense. Diane is using Matt as the ultimate pawn to push Phyllis Summers into an inescapable legal and personal hell. Phyllis is already drowning in the fabricated evidence from Victor Newman, but Diane is secretly adding massive amounts of fuel to that fire. It is brilliant, and it is utterly ruthless. Diane knows exactly how to exploit the existing chaos in the city. She is using Matt's unpredictable nature to corner Phyllis, making absolutely sure that her oldest, most bitter rival has absolutely no way out of this nightmare. I honestly feel a rare pang of sympathy for Phyllis. Which is saying a lot for me. Phyllis is fighting for her freedom, fighting against Victor's ruthless corporate machine, fighting against Christine's legal crusade. And she has absolutely no idea that the ghost of Diane Jenkins is orchestrating her ultimate downfall. Diane is systematically dismantling Phyllis's reputation, spreading malicious, perfectly timed rumors through her hidden network that weaken Phyllis's standing even further. It is psychological warfare at its absolute finest, or its darkest, depending on how you look at it. I find myself wondering how deep Diane's hatred really goes. To fake your own death just to ensure your enemy's complete destruction, it requires a level of darkness and malice that is genuinely terrifying to witness. It makes me wonder if the Diane we saw trying to be a good, reformed wife and mother was just a carefully constructed mask all along. And it is not just Phyllis who needs to be looking over her shoulder. I keep thinking about Tucker McCall. The rumors are swirling that if Tucker dares to return to Genoa City anytime soon, Diane has a massive, inescapable trap waiting for him to. She has been quietly hoarding dark, explosive secrets from their shared past, secrets that could completely obliterate Tucker's career, his finances, and his social standing. It is like she has built a massive arsenal of blackmail material while pretending to be the innocent victim of Patty's harassment. I feel this overwhelming sense of dread for anyone who has ever crossed her path. Diane is not just settling old scores, she is scorching the earth. She wants to see her enemies completely ruined, stripped of their dignity, their money, and their power, and she is doing it all without leaving a single, traceable fingerprint behind. But let us go back to Jack for a moment, because this is the part of the story that truly shatters my heart. Jack is tearing the city apart looking for her. He is leveraging everything he has, every favor, every dollar, to find the woman he loves. He even considered making a dangerous, toxic pact with Patty Williams just to get answers. I watch him, and I feel this profound, aching sorrow. He loves her so much, and his unconditional love is the very weapon she is using to distract everyone from the truth. Jack's frantic, highly publicized search provides the perfect, chaotic smokescreen for Diane's covert operations. The tragic irony of it all, it is almost too much to bear. His grief is exactly what she planned for. She factored his broken heart into her mathematical equation for revenge. It makes me feel a genuine, burning anger towards Diane. How could she look at the man who defended her against the whole town, who alienated his own sister for her, and repay him with this agonizing, drawn-out deception? And Kyle, I cannot even begin to process the lasting psychological damage this will do to him when he finally uncovers the truth. Kyle has defended his mother against Summer, against Victor, against the entire world. He put his own marriage on the line for her forgiveness. And now, he is desperately trying to solve the horrifying mystery of her disappearance, and knowingly acting as an agent of her revenge. I feel so much deep, visceral empathy for Kyle. When he eventually realizes that his mother faked her death again, for the second time in his life, how will he ever recover from that? The betrayal will be absolute and soul-crushing. Diane is actively sacrificing the mental well-being of her only child on the altar of her vengeance. It is a chilling, horrifying reminder of the Diane Jenkins of old. The woman who would do anything, hurt absolutely anyone, to get exactly what she wants. I keep pausing and thinking about the sheer, staggering logistics of what she is doing right now. How long has she been planning this grand disappearance? Was the voicemail she left for Jack a calculated, scripted move to establish a false timeline? Was her nightmare about Patty just a convenient, theatrical excuse to seem vulnerable before she vanished into thin air? It is all so meticulously crafted, like a dark, terrifying symphony. I am genuinely in awe of the narrative complexity here. She is using the town's existing prejudices and fears against Patty to her complete advantage. Everyone expects Patty to do something crazy and violent, so Diane just slipped right into that pre-existing narrative. It is a masterclass in misdirection and manipulation. I find myself holding my breath during every episode, waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for that one massive, earth-shattering secret about Phyllis to be leaked to the press. What could that secret possibly be? My mind is spinning with endless theories. Is it something about Phyllis's past and punished crimes? Something about her secret involvement with Matt Clark that goes far deeper than we ever thought possible? Whatever it is, Diane is holding onto it until the absolute perfect moment. She wants Phyllis to feel safe for just a fleeting second, maybe thinking she has finally beaten Victor's A charges. And then, boom! Diane will release the information, the trap will spring, and Phyllis will lose absolutely everything she has worked for. The anticipation is almost painful to endure. I feel this tight knot in my stomach because I know the fallout from this revelation is going to be catastrophic. Friendships will end, families will be torn apart, and the landscape of Genoa City will never be the same again. And then, the climax of it all, the grand return, I can already picture it in my head, and it gives me absolute goosebumps. Diane is not just going to quietly slip back into town and apologize. No, she is going to orchestrate a spectacular, theatrical resurrection. She will wait patiently until Phyllis is completely ruined, until Tucker is utterly destroyed, until Jack is at his absolute lowest point of despair. And then she will walk through the heavy wooden doors of the Abbott mansion as if she just woke up from a long nap. The sheer, unadulterated audacity of it. I am oscillating wildly between being utterly thrilled by the soap opera drama and being deeply repulsed by her calculated cruelty. How will she possibly spin it this time? Will she claim she had to disappear to protect them from a greater threat? Will she play the ultimate victim once again, weeping fake tears? I honestly do not know if Jack will be able to forgive her this time around. I really, truly don't. I sit here pondering the absolute limits of unconditional love. Jack has a massive, generous capacity for forgiveness, but this is emotional terrorism. He is mourning her. He is grieving the loss of his wife. To find out that his tears, his sleepless nights, his sheer panic were all just part of her master plan, it might finally be the thing that permanently breaks the camel's back. I feel like we are witnessing the tragic end of Jack and Diane's epic love story masquerading as a high-stakes thriller, and honestly, a large part of me hopes Jack finally walks away. He deserves so much better than a woman who treats his beating heart like a disposable asset in a corporate and personal war against her rivals. And what about the rest of the town? When the dust finally settles and everyone realizes that Diane Jenkins manipulated them all from a luxury villa across the world, the backlash will be biblical. Victor Newman will be absolutely furious that he was outplayed in the shadows by someone he considers beneath him. Ashley Abbott will feel entirely, smugly vindicated for never trusting her for a single second. I feel a heavy sense of impending doom for Diane, even as she flawlessly executes this plan. She might win the immediate battle against Phyllis, but she is going to lose the long war for her family's soul. You simply cannot build a sustainable life on a foundation of such profound, agonizing deception. It is a tragic, fatal flaw in her character. She always goes too far. She never, ever knows when to stop. I keep coming back to Matt Clark's specific role in all of this. It is just so incredibly twisted and dark. Matt is a monster, yes, we all know that, but currently, he is an amnesiac who doesn't even know his own name or the extent of his past sins. Diane is exploiting a brain-damaged man to do her dirty work. It adds a layer of absolute moral bankruptcy to her revenge that I find deeply, profoundly unsettling. I feel a strange, highly conflicting emotion, almost a fleeting pity for Matt, which is insane considering the immense trauma he inflicted on Sharon and Nick. But Diane is using him like a remote-controlled weapon. She is pointing him directly at Phyllis and pulling the trigger from thousands of miles away. It shows that Diane has completely detached herself from any remaining sense of morality or empathy. She is purely driven by cold, calculated malice now. As I process all of this, I realize that we are watching a master villain operating at the absolute height of her power. Diane Jenkins has transcended the role of a mere schemer. She is a brilliant, terrifying architect of chaos. I am captivated, horrified, and entirely obsessed with watching this intricate plot play out. The grand revenge, the fake death, the heartless manipulation of Jack and Kyle. It is soap opera perfection at its finest, but my heart aches for the immense collateral damage that is yet to come. The bitter tears that will be shed, the sacred trust that will be permanently broken. Diane is going to get exactly what she wants, but the ultimate cost will be astronomical. And I, for one, cannot wait to see how she faces the music when she finally steps out of the shadows and back into the unforgiving light of Genoa City.